Well, this week for our front porch project, we're putting the porch on our project. I decided to go with a poured concrete porch and step, and I love how it turned out. Stay tuned and see how simple and easy this is to do. Alright, so we are back in business. I am temporarily on my laptop, my ancient retired laptop, because my computer crashed and I lost everything I had already filmed for this video, so I'm starting over. Which also entailed a visit to Home Depot for a fresh sheet of foam insulation board. And I have cut 4 pieces of insulation board, and I'm going to give you the sizes right now. This is the front porch itself, and it's about 5.5 by 11. So 5.5 by 11. That's going to be the portion of the porch. I'm not quite straight there, but that's okay. This is our first piece of foundation, and this one is 13 by about 1.75 inches wide. Then I have this little piece that's 1/2 inch by about 9 inches. And then we have our front step, which is cut out of the old foam board, and that's 4 inches by about 1/2 inch thick by the 1 inch depth. So I'm going to put these together first. And our front porch building is going to sit here. This is going to go right like this. So I am going to do some gluing. I'm going to glue it this way because I have the edge of this foam that I got this time has some ridges in it. Probably be doing it here. And it's okay if you've got spots that are not perfect, because the building's going to sit on top of that. And then this piece goes like this, and that should all fit our I really got to remember to bring tacky glue home with me from work. You'd think working in a craft store I would remember that I need to buy glue, but I never remember it while I'm at work. I remember it when I get home. Now, did I remember to bring my toothpicks back? I don't believe I did. Let me run and get some toothpicks, and I'll show you the next. Now I have some toothpicks, and I probably should have done these before I put the glue on. I'm going to run a few in here. These are just to make that glued joint a little more secure. There. This one, you can stick them right through like this. These are going to work kind of like our pins do in our foam core. And if they don't go all the way in, it's okay. We can just clip them off when the glue dries. This piece, I'm going to put right about here. I do want to, where's the center? Let's mark the center of this. Whoops. That was right. 11, so let's mark 5.5. About, whoops, there's 5.5. This is about 4, so that way we get this kind of centered. Probably just chew here. Be careful that you don't smush your finger with the toothpick. But when we put this onto our base, we're going to glue this all onto the base. That's up a little too far. Now I'm going to push those in, get this straight. I'll take some photos, and then when this glue is dry, we can start painting. Alright, so the glue is not all the way dry, but it's dry enough that I feel confident I can work on this to at least put the base coat on. And our base coat is going to just be black craft paint. And we're going to paint the whole, well, not the bottom, but the sides and the tops of all these pieces with black. We're going to we just want this to be black. And make sure you get all the little crevices. I've got a little split there, but that's okay. It'll look like part of the concrete. Since we're making a concrete porch and foundation, go ahead and do the tops of the foundation, but they don't have to be perfect. So I am going to continue this. When I get this all painted, I will let it dry, and when it's dry, I'll come back and we'll go on to the next step. Alright, so the black paint is pretty much dry. There may be a few damp spots, but it'll be fine. For the next step, we need 3 colors of gray paint: a dark, a medium, and a light. We're going to start with the darkest one, and I really hope I have enough of this, otherwise I may have to throw in some extra colors. It's got a big glob of stuff, but that's okay. And you need a sponge. We're going to take the darkest, take a damp sponge. It's not going to take much paint because you're going to sponge this on. You want some black to still be showing, but you want to cover most of it. So I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to sponge this on. I'm going to let it dry, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's dry, and I'll start the next step. Alright, now it's not 100% dry, but it's mostly dry, so it will be fine. Oops, I got glue on there. So now we're going to repeat the same process, covering a little less space with a medium gray. Each color, you want to use a little less paint, so that some of the colors below it show. And I also made myself a little pointy sponge so that I can get into these spaces a little bit. But I'm going to, and it's a good idea to start on the part that's not going to show, like the top of the foundation. Kind of get your sponge kind of blotted off a bit, and then work over to the porch. So I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'm going to get this part on, and then I'm going to probably turn on a fan on this so it'll dry a little faster. And when it's dry, I'll come back and we'll start the lightest color. Alright, I changed out to put a clean sheet of paper underneath my project here, and let's do the last coat, which is our lightest gray paint. Now we want to have enough of this that it lightens the color up, but at the same time we want to make sure that we can still see all the other colors. And like I said earlier, I like to start, this part's never going to show because our back wall will be glued over it. So it's a good place to start. I want to get that a little more up there. And you could use more than 3 colors of gray. If you've got more colors, use more. So I am going to put light gray on the whole thing. When it's dry, I'll be back and we'll go to our next step. Alright, so here we are with the 3 colors of gray. And I know I said I was going to just use 3 colors, but then I was putting something else away and I saw this gray in my paint drawer. And it's a lot lighter. It's a lot lighter. And quite frankly, this is darker than I want it to be. So we're going to add, this one's almost white. See, hopefully you're seeing that. So I'm going to put, yeah, I like that better. Oh yes. So I just kind of push it down and kind of lift it back up. And I go over it with the sponge so that it kind of knocks out any lines left from the sponge. And by the way, on these sides, if you don't like the way that your foundation looks, it's okay because we're going to put plants around this. When we put it onto the board, we're going to put plants around it. So you can put a shrubbery in front of any parts that you don't like the way they turned out, so it's okay. It's the beauty of doing landscaping. There, you can get a close look there. Oh yeah, I like this color so much better. I thought I had this color and then I couldn't find it earlier today. So I'm going to get this light gray on and kind of use the sponge to kind of, my sponge is a little too wet this time, but it'll be okay. I still want all those other colors to show through, but I like this better. So I'm going to get this on, I'm going to let it dry, and then I'll be back and we can do the final step for today. Alright, our paint is dry and I am loving how this looks. So, now the tricky part is getting this put on so you guys can see. So, I'm going to kind of flip this up. Hopefully I won't get paint on anything. I think it's okay. As long as I get this out of the way. The way this is going to fit is basically like this. So, I am going to glue this on off camera because there's no way I can put the camera where you guys can see it. I'm going to apply glue here and then probably around these edges, and I'm going to stick this down vertically and I'm going to put some weight on top of the structure and let this dry. I will take some photos of it in process so you can see what I did, and I'll have them in the blog. I may or may not put them into the video. When this is all set up and dry, I will come back and show you how it looks. Alright, I've moved the whole project out on my desk. The glue has gotten a chance to dry overnight, and I am loving how the concrete poured porch looks on the front porch project. It's got a few rough spots, but concrete does. Over here, I'm going to be putting some shrubbery in after we put our base underneath, so that's not a problem. We can put a shrub here. Anywhere there's stuff you don't like, you can cover it up with a shrub. But we've still got, I think next week I'm going to try and put the base underneath this, so it'll be mounted on the base. And then after that, in no particular order, we'll have a sidewalk, a walkway to put in coming up to the porch. We'll have planters or planting areas around it. We'll have a railing and some upright posts. So we've got some work cut out for us yet, but it's turning out so cool. I hope you've enjoyed this week's project. Be sure and check the blog post. I'll have hopefully photos and more information there. And be sure and check the Facebook group if you haven't yet, because that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. And I usually keep Facebook up to date on what's going on, and especially anything that might prevent me from posting videos on a regular basis. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye.